Hey everybody, it's Julie, Kansas City girl in a Colorado world, and today is Wednesday, December 30th, and I am filming with my new ring light tripod, so we'll see how this goes. I have a ton to show you guys. I've got a ton of finishes, a couple of new starts, and some works in progress. And I know that I just uploaded a video a couple of days ago on Monday, but that was a vlog, and that was only from like my Christmas weekend. So it was from like Wednesday, December 24th through Sunday, December 27th. And so I only showed like what I was stitching in those few days. So this is going to have all the stuff I was stitching before then and since then. So I have a lot of finishes because I went crazy on a Sunday and just started finishing everything. And by finishing, I mean fully finishing, because these were things that maybe I had finished, but needed to like make them in their final fully finished state. And so that's what I did. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at some of those things. So one thing I did over the weekend, I had this old Mill Hill kit, this buttons and beads kit that I had done the stitching but never done the beading on. And I hadn't done the back stitching or the beading. So I decided that I should probably finish that. And then I found this shadow box in my stash. So I actually, as it turns out, wow, look at that light. That light is intense. Hopefully this is showing up okay. The one downside to this light is that I cannot see. I'm like blinded by it. So I'm trying to look in the mirror and see what you guys are seeing, but it's hard. So anyway, I had this shadow box from IKEA, and it fit just absolutely perfectly for this Mill Hill. So this is called the Bookseller. And this was a Mill Hill buttons and beads kit that came with everything you need to finish. So that was an easy finish, and that's the nice thing about the Mill Hill kits is you don't have to stretch them or lace them. They just pop right in. I had also finished the Brenda Gervais With Thy Needle and Thread free pattern that she released this holiday season. I believe it was called Merry and Minty. You can get that on her like Facebook and Instagram and all that. I stitched mine on 32 count Picture This Plus Relic, and I used some of the called for colors, and then I changed some. I changed the skin tone of my Santa, and I definitely changed the tree. But I think everything else was pretty much about what she had called for. I did leave off the bottom border was like a star border, is poinsettias. It was really pretty. I just didn't feel like stitching it and didn't think it needed it. It didn't quite balance right for me, but it was pretty. I backed this with just a Christmassy plaid, and then sewed a trim from like Joann's or somewhere like that. And I think it turned out really, really cute. I'm really happy with that. I also stitched Park Hopper Bart. I stitched his Bah Humbug pattern, which you can get on his Gumroad. And I finished this into just a cute little pillow ornament. I used some red rickrack, and the fabric is, I think is a 28 count linen from Nikki's Creations that she dyes herself. I believe it's called Vichy. And for the floss, I had been wanting to try these Sulky Flosses, these Sulky Petite 12 weight that everybody says are great to stitch with. And I had this set. Hopefully that's not getting blown out too much for you guys. I can't tell. This can be a little adjustment to get used to filming this way. So this is a set of Sulky threads that was actually curated for a hands-on design Christmas patterns. I found it at an L&S and I just thought the colors were pretty, so I just bought it. I don't own the hands-on design patterns. So I just pulled floss from this set to stitch Bart's pattern, which calls for, I think, just DMC. I think he calls for the Bah Humbug to be stitched in black, and I just did mine in a dark brown. I love, it's a simple, easy finish, but I just think it's really cute. I'm really happy with how that turned out too. I also stitched, so I had some time back stitched this Mill Hill kit called Come Stitch, and this was for like fall Halloween, and I had it already stitched, but I finally like cut it out and backed it with felt and made it displayable. So that was a really fast finish. And then what else do we have here? Oh, so I had finished the stitching for this a while back. It's just still needed to fully finish it. This is Wild Violet cross stitch. It's called the Witch House in Salem, and I actually just really love how this finish came out. This is stitched 1 strand over 1 on 25 count. It's an Under the Sea ornament pack fabric. I can't remember the name of it, but it's stitched 1 over 1, so it's teeny tiny, and it's with the called for DMC. I just did a simple like hanging flat fold. Well, it doesn't fold, so it's just a mounted hanger. This was just some fabric I had in stash. I did some like charcoaly chenille trim and then a rickrack hanger, and I just am super happy. I need to lint roll this apparently. I'm super happy with how this came out. I think it's really looks really cute. So so what I primarily focused on over Christmas break was Whistle Stop Stitcher Christmas alphabet sampler, and this was something that I was able to start and finish and fully finish. And I used that same plaid fabric that I had backed the Marion Mint Tea with, but I didn't do like a trim because this is like a good size pillow, so I didn't think it needed it. And this is a 30 count Nikki's Creations linen in Old England, I believe is what she calls the colorway. It's like a tea and coffee dyed linen. I love Nikki's linen. It's really good. And then I used a DMC Coloris, and I think I have it here actually. It's the color number 4042. And again, just really happy with how this one turned out. I think it's really cute. And then last, I finished the Victoria Sampler Woodland Babies Christmas Tartlet. And I know there's another set of 3. I don't know if there's a third set, but there's definitely a second set with different woodland babies on it. And these stitched super duper fast. So in my Christmas vlog, I showed I had 2 of these done, and since then I have finished the third. So here, well, I'll just hold them up individual. So here's the chipmunk. Here is the bun. And then I've since finished the raccoon. So I picked my own linen, but the beads and the floss and everything else was in the sampler pack, or the thread pack, accessory pack, whatever it's called. Doing this green vinery was a total pain. I really did not enjoy that. But yeah, they're really cute. They're really tiny. They're like 33 by 33 stitches. So they stitch up super duper fast. And they're just darling. So those are done. And I believe that is all of the finishes. Nope, that's a lie. I have 2 finishes that I have sent off for gifts. So I will insert pictures of those. So the first one is from Just Cross Stitch. Nope. That's not accurate. It's from Cross Stitcher magazine. I believe it was the December 2019 issue. And there's a set of 4, but I only did the 1. And it's by Doreen Jones, and it's called Fashionably Festive. And here's a picture. So I sent that off to my sister. And then I also finished a Mill Hill kit, an ornament kit, not a buttons and beads, so a much smaller one. And it is called Toyland Sleigh. And here's a picture of that. And I sent that to my mom. And so those 2 were also completed since my last video, but I had to send them off for Christmas. So I think that is all of my finishes, which ended up being like 11 things that I finished. So I'm very proud of that. Okay, so works in progress. I spent the early part of the month working on Autumn Lane Stitchery Dark Queen of the Sea Stitch Along. And this, Dark Queen of the Seas, plural. So part 5 will release on January 1st, and I am caught up. So this is what we've stitched so far for up through part 4. Part 4 came with 2 options. So part 4 was the face and the hair, and there was this purple option, and then there was a blue option, and they're both absolutely stunning. I was going to do the purple version. Purple's my favorite color. It was a no-brainer for me. But my friend Victor said, before I could start part 4, he messaged me and he's like, so you're gonna make her a redhead, right? And I was like, well, I hadn't thought. And he's like, yeah, you need to make her a redhead. So I did. So, let me make sure her naughty bits are covered up. The other thing about this stitch along, besides the hair options, was that part 3 included a nude topless version or a covered up version, and I went for the topless version. So I stitched her face as charted, but I changed her hair, and all I did was I pulled the 4 colors of DMC for the purple, and then I just looked through my DMC box for reds and tried to match in tone, light to dark. So all I did was pick 4 substitute colors, but the pattern and the design is still, all of Aaron's genius, because he is a genius. And this is just so beautiful. This pattern is just so stunning. I love, of course, how her hair turned out. It turned out so great. But this face is just, it's an absolute insanity. I'm going to try to zoom in so you guys can see. This face is incredible. The detail and what he accomplishes with shading and the back stitch is just so amazing. Oh, the other thing I did change the eye color. I still did his charting, but I gave her hazily green eyes instead of purple, I think they were. And I made her eyebrows, instead of black, I made them a dark crimson to go with her hair. But she's absolutely stunning. I cannot wait for part 5. This is stitched on 32 count linen from Under the Sea Fabrics and Bewitched, which is the collaboration of the linen that was dyed specifically for this stitch along. So she's looking so good, and I cannot wait for part 5. And I really think I will do my very best to keep caught up with this stitch along in 2021. I think it wraps up like in September or October, somewhere in there. And I have every intention of staying up to date with it because it's just so absolutely incredible. And it's so fun to stitch. So my other WIP, work in progress, was my Mirabilia Santa's Magic. So this is my snow day project. So anytime it snows, I am committed to digging this project out and working on it. Ooh. So this is, So this is Santa's Magic, and it is huge. It is a big project. And I am stitching it on like all the called for linen and floss and everything because I found this as a kit. So this is 234 by 276 stitches. It is a very large. And it snowed one day earlier in the month, and then it snowed on Monday, the 28th. So I put 2 days into this. It's hard to stitch because it's all confetti. Like this part especially, so much confetti. This part is just white, so not confetti, but careful counting. And then it calls for a lot of Krakauer, and it's number 8, which usually in cross stitch you use number 4. So number 8 is a thicker Krakauer, and it's just that much harder to work with. This kit came with all of the number 8 Krakauer, which was like 10 spools or so, and I didn't want to rebuy it, so I'm just suffering through. Yeah, definitely a love-hate with this. I don't enjoy it, but I think I will enjoy the end product. And I think by making it manageable, bite-sized, like, hey, you only have to work on it like just the one day, it snowed today, you know, just like one day, you know, it makes it a little less daunting. So I think it's going to be gorgeous. And I think if I can just get my groove with it, I'll like it a lot more. But I don't love it. I don't love it. I think I'll love the way it looks in the end. My next work in progress was a new start. I started Lila's Studio Nevermore, and I started this with my friend Beth, and she's the Desert Stitcher AZ on Instagram and on Flosstube. And she wanted to start this, and I was like, me too. And then Amy, Gable Stitcher, also wanted to start it, and had it kitted up forever. So we all started it on December 13th. And I have all the called for floss, but I'm using coloring cotton fabric. So I'm stitching this on 40 count, and the color is Prairie Dust, and it was the September Fabric of the Month Club, but you can actually still get it. It's part of the permanent line, and it is it's been really fun to stitch. Actually, I thought this top border is going faster than I thought it would. So I've gotten into a second color, so I kind of jumped down so I could use the Silken Colors Slug Bug floss, and I think it's coming out really, really, really nice. And I think I just had like a couple days in that. And then I started I just had this in stash forever. And I even bought the fancy linen. This is Primitive Hair, the Old Winter. And she has this special snowflake linen for this project, which I had bought like 2 years ago. And so I was like, you know, I should probably stitch this. It's big and it's a lot of stitching. It calls for DMC. And I had originally thought I might sub out the DMC for the deer and do like something with some variegation, but now I'm glad I didn't because it's going to use so much DMC. So I have a start on this. look at this linen. It's amazing. Primitive hair linen is so good. And here's where I'm at on just, you know, a couple of days of stitching. This needle minder is from Jen at Delicious Threads. Festivus for the rest of us. The annual airing of grievances. And so there was that. Oh, that reminds me though. I did want to point out, I actually messaged Isabel at the Primitive Hair and asked her the initials AB. I said, what do those mean? What do those mean? And the year, does that mean anything? And she said, yeah, actually, AB stands for Anne Boleyn, and 1536 was the year of her execution. And the stag was the sigil of Henry VIII. So there is some meaning to this chart. It's not just a pretty chart. So I will leave it as charted because I was like, you know, I don't know what AB is. I don't know if I want to change those initials up or, you know, leave them off if they're, you know, if they don't mean anything, but they do. And then let me see, I think I have one more whip, and this should be a finish really soon. So I started from the Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine, the 2020 winter issue, the most recent issue. I started the Winter Cardinal etching by Heart and Hand Needle Art. So beautiful. And I loved this when I saw it, but it wasn't like a I need to stitch it right now. It was like, maybe I'll stitch it eventually. But then I saw a few people who have changed up and stitched this on like a dark blue or gray, and they've made the branches white so they look like birch or aspen trees. And once I saw that, I was like, yep, I want to do that right away. So I am stitching this on the Mystery, I think it's a 28 count linen. I truly have no idea what it is. It's just like a solid dark blue. And I have the cardinal done and I've started on the trees. So I think I can finish this in a day or two. This has been my lunch stitching at work. It's going real fast. The red is a random like Moe's sale that I had in stash, and the white is a color in cotton. I have like a whole bunch of white or beige or ecru kind of colors from Color and Cotton, so I just grabbed one that had like a silvery grayish tint. And this is really fun to stitch actually. It's not as tricky as it looks like it'll be. Like I didn't make any big mistakes. So all I have left to do are just the trees, which I've got to start on, and I just need to finish them. So this will be a nice petite little, probably I'll make it an ornament. Okay, so that was all of the stuff I stitched on. So all I have after that is some stash acquisitions, some things that I bought, and then I'll talk about books and then we'll be done. So, okay, so some of this came in like several weeks ago, so it can be a little blurry. But I believe I got these from Top Knot Stitcher, Abby, who, by the way, did sponsor a giveaway with me in the month of December. So on Christmas Day, we drew a winner for a $50 gift card. I know that quite a few of you participated in using the discount code in December to be entered in the giveaway. So I hope that you got some good stuff. And some of you have messaged me and told me that you used the code, and I'm always like, okay, what'd you get? What'd you get? Like, I love hearing that. So if you want to send me a message and tell me what you got from Top Knot Stitcher, like, I'm always interested. I'm happy to know. Some of the things I got Kathy Barrick 8 Tiny Reindeer. When I saw this chart, I was like, yes, please. And somebody had messaged, I think when Kathy showed the chart on her Instagram, you know, she just showed this chart and somebody said, well, where's Rudolph? Well, when I actually got the chart, she did give us Rudolph right down here. So Rudolph is included. I got that, and then I went on like a Blackbird binge. I got, I don't know. I just like decided I needed all the Blackbird. I got Oh Joyous Day, which is becoming quite scarce because Jessie Marie is hosting a stitch along on Inauguration Day. And a lot of people are choosing this chart, Oh Joyous Day, because it will be a joyous day. And so it's actually sold out a lot of places. I'm not starting it on Inauguration Day because I have other plans, but it's a beautiful chart. I will start it eventually. I also got All Joys for Thine, just because it's pretty. And I got, this is not Blackbird, I got Lila's Studio, a Quaker Welcome. I've just like, it's one of those charts I've been meaning to buy forever, and I keep like not buying it, so I finally just bought it. I don't like the level of glare that this ring light creates. Definitely gonna have to play with that. Even taking it out of the package, there's some glare. So, okay, so I just think this chart's gorgeous. Gorgeous. So then I ordered some stuff from Fat Quarter Shop for Black Friday or Small Business Saturday, like that whole right after Thanksgiving. They were having, I believe it was 20% off site-wide, everything. So I went shopping because why not? So I got Blackbird Come Into My Garden, which is gorgeous. And then I got these 20 count Ada. So my friend Amy, Gable Stitcher, had told me she was really enjoying stitching on 20 count Ada, which is equivalent to like a 40 count linen, which is my favorite count. And she's like, yeah, if you're stitching something that doesn't have like over 1 or half stitches, she's like, just try 20 count Ada. Like, it's great. And I was like, okay, I will. It's also much cheaper. I think these were like $8 for a fat quarter. So it's a lot cheaper than, you know, like a fat quarter of like Lakeside Linen or Picture This Plus or something like that. So I also grabbed this chart clip. I've been meaning to grab one of these, and so I finally did. So you can clip your chart onto your Q-snap while you're stitching. And then I grabbed this stitch gauge because I have one, but it doesn't have all the counts. And I don't know if you can see that or if it's getting blown out, but this has where you can hold this up against your fabric and pretty quickly tell if it's like 36 count or 40 count. And I just thought that would come in handy. And then I grabbed some random floss. Well, this one I needed, Gentle Arts Harvest Moon. I did need another skein of this. And then I grabbed Uniform Blue because it was pretty. And then I grabbed this Classic Colorworks Belle Soie Cranberry Silk because it's gorgeous. I don't know what I'm going to use it on yet, but it was too pretty to not buy it. So I did. I have another order coming from Top Knot that really should have been here by now, and it's not Abby's fault. It's the post service. She shipped it out, I think, like December 3rd or something, and it's December 30th, and it's in Las Vegas. You know, whatever. It's not Abby's fault. So my last stash acquisition is I ordered some needle minders from It's Charm School. My friend Allison, she has her shop on Etsy, and I believe like her own website, but she sells on Etsy and on her website. And I had no business like going and looking for needle minders. I just wanted to, so I did. So I bought, I had to get this Sabrina, no wait, this one, this Sabrina needle minder, and Sabrina and Salem, and then I got this one that says, I just want to hang with my dog. So I got these two random needle minders, and then Allison had messaged me and said she wanted to make a needle minder for me. And we were talking, like, for my Flosstube channel, and we were just kind of talking back and forth, and, you know, like, my favorite color, and, like, my interests, and things like that. And she ended up making this needle minder, but she didn't tell me that she was done, or that she was sending it in my package. So this was a surprise to me when it came. But she made me this needle minder that says Kansas City Girl in a Colorado World. And it's a book, and it's purple because that's my favorite color. And it's so wonderful, and it's so cute. Look, it's a little book. So that was a big surprise because I didn't know that she had finished it. But guess what? She threw in an extra one so I could give it away. So one for me and one for one of you. If you have any interest, I know that this is like this would be a niche market, right? Like, not everybody needs a needle minder that says my Flosstube channel. Like, I totally get it, but there might be a couple of you out there who would think this was fun to have. So if you would like a chance to win, I hope this is showing up and it's not totally blown out. If you would like to win this Kansas City Girl in a Colorado World needle minder, let me know down below. Why don't you just tell me how you found my channel? And if you don't remember, that's fine. That's fine. Just be like, I don't know. I stumbled upon you at some point. That's totally fine. But if you remember, like, what led you to my channel, let me know. I think it'll be fun. I think I've told this story before, but the way I found Flosstube was, I believe I just kind of saw it mentioned here and there, like on, it was probably on Stitch Mania, the Facebook group, and it would just occasionally come up, like Flosstube would get dropped, and I was like, I don't know what's happening. And then, you know, I found out it was, you know, YouTube channels about cross stitch, and I was like, I don't quite get that, but okay. And then I think, you know, after seeing it like mentioned enough times, I was like, well, let me go see what's going on over there. So I remember going to YouTube, and I remember searching Flosstube. Now, I cannot tell you who all came up. I don't remember that much, but I do remember who I clicked on and why. And it was Andrea in Colorado. And it was because I had just moved to Colorado. I had been here maybe like 2 months or so. I had just moved here. And so, you know, that clicked. So the first Flosstube I ever watched was Andrea in Colorado. But again, I don't remember like who else popped up in the search. But I remember that's the one that I was like, let me see what this is all about. And then of course, you know, just snowballed from there. So if you want to just let me know, you know, how you found my channel, when you found my channel, or even how you found Flosstube, if you remember. And if you don't remember, but you still want the needle minder, just, that's fine. You can still be entered. Just say, I don't remember. So I'll do a winner. Let me see. When should I pick a winner for that? Let's say mid-January. Let's just say like by January 15th, I'll pick somebody. And then I have another giveaway too. So Fat Quarter Shop sent me this chart, and I accidentally cut into the top when I was opening it, but the chart is fine. I didn't cut into the chart. It's just, I cut into the plastic bag around the chart. This is a new chart. It's the Prim and Proper by Lori Holt. And this is also a quilt pattern. So if you like this as a quilt, you can buy the quilt pattern from Fat Quarter Shop. But they actually made it, sorry, I'm not going to take it out of the plastic because I'm going to give this to one of you. So they made it into a quilt, or into a cross stitch, based on the quilt. And it is really cute. It is 105 stitches wide by 133 stitches tall. So it is not terribly large. It can be stitched with their Aura Floss, which they sell on their website, but they also provide DMC conversions. So you can stitch this with DMC in your stash. So if you would like to win this chart, just let me know. Why don't you just use the word prim, P-R-I-M, because this is called the Prim and Proper Cross Stitch. So if you have any interest in stitching this chart, just leave me a comment and use the word prim, and I will, again, on January 15th, pick a winner. So we'll pick 2 winners that day. Okay, so that's all the cross stitch. I'm going to talk a little bit about books, and then we will be done. If you don't care to hear the book talk, you can leave now. You're not going to miss anything else. But if you want to hear about books, then stay tuned. So, I've actually read several books in the last 3 weeks or so. I'm actually decided not to talk about 2 of them because it would just be too long to talk about all these books. And they're just like 2 ebooks that I read that just aren't that remarkable. So I'm not going to talk about them. So the first book I read was Winterwood by Shea Earnshaw. This is a young adult fantasy. And I had gotten this in an Owl Crate like last year in an Owl Crate monthly subscription. So this book, I was actually looking for wintry, not necessarily Christmas, but like wintry, icy, snowy, like kind of books. And I went through my bookshelves and I just pulled like anything that fit the bill. And so that you will see a theme with these books. And so this one I was like, you know what? It's nice and short. It's like 300 and something pages. It's very short. 317 pages. Yep, 319 pages. So nice and short. And it's a standalone. It's not like part of a series. So it's like a one and done, which is getting to be kind of rare these days. Like, authors aren't stupid. They know if they can hook you into their series, you will keep buying their books. So this was really, really interesting. I actually really enjoyed this. Not anything probably like that I ever need to read again. It didn't like blow me away, but it was very good. So the book is set up in the mountains, I believe in like the Appalachia area. I could be making that up. It might be Washington now that I think about it. It's, you know what? It doesn't matter. It's in the mountains and it's winter and it's snowy. But there is a little community around this lake up in the mountains. Now in the summer, the lake is a nice destination. People come up and they go swimming and do water sports and they stay in cabins, and it's, you know, like this beautiful summer vacation area. But in the winter, only like the diehard like mountain people stay up in the mountains with all the snow and the ice and the isolation. So the book centers around a girl named Nora who lives in a cabin up around in the lake. There's also like a boys' reform school camp on the other side of the lake. And so the book starts with someone from the boys' camp has gone missing. Well, 2 boys, I believe 2 boys have gone missing, and one is presumed dead, and the other one, they're just not sure. And Nora is descended from a long line of basically witches who have like a powerful connection to the lake and the woods surrounding the lake. And there is this really scary, creepy, deep, dark wood that only Nora's bloodline is allowed to enter. Anyone else who enters does not come out. And so there's like this local folklore about these woods. Nora enters the woods on a like snowy, cold night, and she finds one of the missing boys. And so the book is about her uncovering the mystery of why this boy was in the woods, how he survived in the woods in the snow and, you know, the freezing temperature, and, you know, just all of that, like what's going on. So it's a mystery. It's pretty easy to figure out, I will say. Like, I definitely solved the mystery well before the reveal. However, it was still very entertaining. Super atmospheric. You know, you're in the woods, in the mountains, isolated. There's snow and ice, and you know, part of the story is that a blizzard has come through and the road down the mountain is closed. So all these people are stuck up in the mountain for 2 weeks until the road can be cleared. So yeah, it was good. It was also the writing really pretty. The author, I think this might have been one of her first books. This was her second book. I think her debut novel was another book I've heard about called The Wicked Deep. But anyway, she has a really lyrical writing, way of writing. So I actually really enjoyed her writing style. Really pretty. Might not be for everybody, but I liked it a lot. I think I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. Like, it didn't blow me away, but I really enjoyed it. I read it really quickly too. Like, I actually, you know, kind of fell into it and couldn't like put it down. So that was one of my wintry reads. And then I grabbed the next book I needed to read in the Mercy Thompson series. So this is an adult paranormal urban fantasy series, primarily about wolves, about werewolves. And I picked this one because it's called Frostburned, and it did fit the winter bill. The book opens with, it's the day after Thanksgiving. It's Black Friday. And then it continues over the next few days. But it's cold, it's icy. It definitely was appropriate for this time of year. So I can't talk specifically about this book without a lot of spoilers. This is, I believe, like maybe the 6th or 7th in this series. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, this is the 7th book in this series. So I can't go into details if you're wanting to read this series, but here's what I can tell you. The book circles around this woman named Mercy Thompson, and she lives in Washington, and she lives in a community that has a werewolf population. She is not a werewolf, but she is a shifter. So she shifts into a coyote. And she's the only one like her that she knows. She doesn't know any other shifters who can turn into coyotes. But werewolves are a known entity in the world. And she was actually raised by werewolves. So she kind of just by default like gets lumped into the werewolf community, but she is not a werewolf herself. And so the book kind of explores some of that, of like her not being quite one of them, not being accepted by all of them. I don't want to spoil the romance because that takes a couple of books to develop and come to fruition. But I love this series actually a lot. It's not super explicit. Like, there's a little bit of sex, but it's not like, you know, some paranormal urban fantasies can get pretty explicit. This book, or this series, not so much, but there's a little bit of action in this series. But primarily Mercy is just solving mysteries, saving friends and family. There there are a lot of interesting characters that come in and out in the series, and it's really good. And what I really like about this series is with a lot of fantasy and paranormal, the main character can kind of like always has like special powers, or like kind of becomes like the chosen one, or like they're invincible. Mercy is not invincible, and she very frequently talks about like, oh my god, I'm gonna die, like this is beyond my skill to handle. So it's kind of interesting seeing like that main protagonist who maybe isn't like super good at everything, but she definitely does have special talents, and she's very resourceful, but she isn't like the big bad that comes in and just like, you know, kicks ass. It's like she does, but she's also like, this vampire is gonna kill me. Crap. And she talks like, by the way, there's vampires in this book too. She talks often about how scared to death she is of the vampires, because she's like, I'm not long for this world with these vampires. So it was just kind of a different take on the paranormal urban fantasy. The other thing is paranormal urban fantasy can fall into some tropes and some cliches and some problematic behavior, and especially with werewolves. People like to have werewolves as like these super controlling, possessive, like horrible boyfriends, basically. And so I think this series does a really good job of like not falling into all of those problematic tropes that we see in this genre. So that was also like a breath of fresh air. So if this is like a genre that interests you, I really highly, highly recommend the Mercy Thompson series by Patricia Briggs. Very good. I feel like I'm talking about these books probably more than I should have, but whatever, it's all good. So the next book I read was Into Thin Air by Jon Krakauer. Now, this is a book about him climbing Mount Everest and being swept into a tragedy. He summited Mount Everest in May, so it's not quite appropriate for the year, but I just thought it would still be good to read because, you know, Mount Everest is covered in snow and ice and below zero temperatures, so I just felt like it would still feel wintry, and it did, of course. But full disclosure, it's set in like end of March all through April and then May. But this book is so good. I had read Into the Wild by Jon Krakauer a year or two ago and absolutely loved it. So I wanted to read more of his work, and so I finally read this one, and this book is so good, and now I want to like research everything about Mount Everest that I can. So it was written in 1996, so it is 25 years old, this book, but I don't think a whole lot has changed about climbing Mount Everest. I'm guessing that a lot has changed about the base camp at Mount Everest, but getting on top of this mountain probably hasn't changed a whole lot. But I'm really curious to like find a documentary or like kind of get an update about like what's going on with Mount Everest these days. Because as you're reading this, you know, in the back of your mind, you're kind of like, is it still like that? Like, is that still the thing that people do? Because they kind of explore like the commercialism and just the things that have really changed about what it means to climb Everest. You guys have probably seen on the news lately, like about the like the crowding to get to the summit of Everest. Like sometimes I remember seeing pictures of like, you know, just like this whole crowd of people like waiting for their turn to like get up the mountain. So I imagine that's worsened since 1996. But anyway, this book was so good. Jon Krakauer summited Mount Everest in 1996. But he was part of a group that encountered a tragedy. And at the time, I don't know if this is still the case, but at the time it was the deadliest day on Mount Everest. He lost like half of his team. And this book was basically like his catharsis of like getting the story out. Like he came back from Everest and he wrote this book within like 6 months of coming back. And he was like, I just like had to get it out. It's not really a spoiler. Like he tells you from the very beginning, like all these people died. So you kind of know as you're reading it, like, oh, he didn't make it. Ugh. But it's still, oh, it still hit. Like at the end of the book, like the last, you know, bit of the book where like shit's really hitting the fan, you know, like it was really emotional, like as these people that you've come to know and feel like you know really well, like don't make it off the mountain. And I cried at the end, even though I knew like the whole book that this dude wasn't coming down the mountain, he wasn't coming out. I still was like, oh my God, this is so sad. So it was a really, really, really good book. John Krakauer is an amazing author. I've now read 2 of his books and just been completely blown away by both of them. And not even like a genre that I tend to read at all. I read very little nonfiction, and I'm not super interested in like outdoor adventure, but his books are just so well written. He really goes deep on like exploring like how things get to be where they are, and it's just it's fascinating. Like this book is fascinating. I could not put it down. It is so good. That was definitely a 5-star read. And then the last thing I'm not going to talk about in detail because I covered this book in my vlog, but over the Christmas weekend, I read Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. So if you want to hear my thoughts about that, go check out my vlog. This was a reread. I read this a year ago. This was a reread of this series. And well, there's 2 books in this series. I haven't reread the second book yet. But anyway, I was craving this book, so I reread it and I still loved it. It's still a 5-star, amazing book. So if you want to know my thoughts, just watch it over there. And that is all I have for you guys. And I'm looking for my little clicker. So that's all I have. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.